Good morning, everyone. We've got a blue back. Nope, that's just me. Sorry. You know how sometimes your things get highlighted when it looked like for a second I had a blue background because I had accidentally used the cursor and screwed it all up right off the top. But you know what? That's okay. That's okay because it's Friday. It's the end of a long week, but we are just literally hours away from what we're about let's say 4.5 and 24, 28 and a half hours away from kickoff. So we are counting it down to K-State. Again, the biggest game of the year, the most consequential game of the year for Texas. You can't undersell or oversell how big this is for Texas's season, right? I mean, win it and everything that they want is still on the table. Lose it. Not saying your season's a disappointment. We said coming into this year, Big 12 championship or bust. Lose this game, the season's a disappointment. Even if they run the table the rest of the way and only finish with 2 losses. It's just that's how consequential this game is. What do you guys think? Am I overselling it? I don't think I am.
Yeah, Travis, I'm doing well this morning. Thanks for asking. Just right out the gate with just win this game or it is doom explosion to the universe. It's a big game, man. Obviously all the expectations coming into the season were at the bare minimum, you got to get to Arlington and have a shot to win the Big 12. And then, you beat Alabama and it's like, man, you look at the rest of the schedule after the Bama win, this should be a playoff team. And both are completely on the table. Like they could miss Arlington or they could be in the college football playoff. And if they're in the college football playoff, man, I don't think they're going to be dogs by more than like a touchdown. So they'll have shots in these games. So sure. Yeah, we're talking massive swings, but I'm doing well. Thank you.
That was the snarky but funny Aaron Little from orangebloods.com. And of course we got Nash from Texas who loves talking them horns. Nash, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing all right. I think you hit the nail on the head, man. It's just like this feels like a playoff game. We got a playoff game in November because really, this is almost like a play-in game for the Big 12 championship. Whoever wins this likely ends up going to the Big 12 championship, and just massive game tomorrow. And winner, it feels like a winner go home type scenario because, like you said, it's just. The season feels like a disappointment if we don't make it to the Big 12 championship.
Absolutely.
And ironically, we are at home already. So
yeah, there you go. Well, you know what? It is a good morning. It is a Friday morning. I'm glad Aaron's doing well. I'm still celebrating the Rangers World Series, hence the hello win column, the gone way too soon Mark Holtz. Zoe, though, first, he's the winner in the Specs chat line. First up with his horns up. That is the name of the show. Get your horns up. Brought to you by Elite Sports Memorabilia. Texas Man may be number 2 in the chat, but number 1 in our hearts. Texas Man, we appreciate it. Good morning to you, and good morning to Burnt Orange Blood. He's in the house. Sandman is always in the house. We love it. I love it. Listen, we love all the viewers, but you guys who get up early and get in here live, we really do appreciate that. Honestly, truly, guys like Sandman, guys like Colton Bunting, guys like Mike Garcia, who's checking in from Brownsville. Good morning, Michael. Sorry, I called you Mike, but you've typed out Michael. I'm going to go by Michael. Oh, and speaking of Elite Sports Memorabilia, the up way too early doesn't happen often, but we're glad he's in the house. Elite Sports Memorabilia is in the chat line as well. He says, ugh, not on purpose, by no means, LOL. That's all right. You know what? I was up a little early this morning too. I was up at 4:30 in the morning for some reason. Just couldn't go back to bed. But anyway. And then the JB24 fan club president, who I think there's plenty of people who are going to fight you on that Jonathan Brooks fan club president title there. But we're glad you're
on War's show yesterday, and it's just look, at the end of the day, I appreciate the efforts, but I will fight to the death for this title.
There was someone coming for Nash's crown on the show yesterday. It was pretty funny.
That is funny. I appreciate that. And I knew that's who I was thinking of when I said there are plenty of people who are going to fight you on that. And, of course, our resident Sooner Stoopsified in the house. We love it. Robert Kemp is in the house as well as Lewis Gaines from Carthage. His Bulldogs are playing tonight. Unfortunately, my Athens Hornets are not doing too well. They hit conference play, and they are kind of.
We should probably address Robert's question real quick, as it is important. Not from anything Orange Bloods is hearing. I mean, Stark has not mentioned anything. Orange Bloods is hearing great week of practice, fun week of practice for Malik. There's been some stuff out there, but what we have heard, we've got nothing on Malik being hurt. So
I did want to address this. There are rumors going around that he missed a practice this week, and I think that was one of the other websites. That's not our reporting. I don't believe it's true. For whatever reason, and listen, there were rumors going around last week before the start of the game. Oh, Malik may not play. He's injured. And so everyone was making sure he was out there doing warm-ups. I don't know where these are coming from, and I don't know why they seem to be Malik-centric. It's weird to me. And to the, I just don't get it. I wouldn't listen to it. I mean, look, even Sark came out and said, Malik had a great week of practice, which I'll get to that in just a second, but wanted to throw up the Elite Sports Memorabilia.
I still don't know what Kobe is. I have no idea.
It's a bank.
Oh, I don't know what the reference is.
All right. Well, it's also
I'm playing Aaron today.
It's an Orange Bloods reference.
I know that, but I have no clue.
I'm not going to get into it because it's 6:30 in the morning, so we can talk about it offline. But it's the point is he's right there with you with JB, and of course he is, because he signed Jonathan Brooks to be an Elite Sports Memorabilia client, and because of ESM, you can get your own JB Brooks jersey just like Nash has up on his wall right behind us. Do yourselves a favor, guys. Whip out your phone, scan the QR code, go check out. These Jonathan Brooks jerseys are available to you now, and we've talked about this before. The inventory he has now is going at a certain price. He's going to do another signing, though, and when that happens, prices are going up because this is one of the best running backs in the country, and he's gonna set out to prove that again this week. He's been stymied right at 98 and 99 yards the last 2 weeks. He's getting over the 100 this week. It's going to be a big deal.
Well, I also will say, if we've talked about all week, if Texas wins this game, they're going to need to dominate on the ground. So theoretically, Jonathan Brooks has a big game, carries Texas to a victory. It's a huge win for Texas. The fan base is excited. Christmas is coming up. Everyone's just going to be like, now's the time to get the Jonathan Brooks jersey. I would get it today before the price potentially goes up. We'll see.
Or you can correctly guess the score and get it for free.
True. We had more comments yesterday.
That's right. We had a lot of people. So there's the other way to get one, and you can get it for free by going to check out yesterday's show where we gave our predictions for the K-State game. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and be the first to correctly predict the score of the game, and you can win one for free. And hey, by the way, if you don't want a JB jersey, that's fine. I don't know why you wouldn't, but there's a lot of other great memorabilia available, including Anthony Hill, who has recently signed, including Xavier Worthy, including Quinn Ewers, including starting quarterback Malik Murphy, who somebody on the channel has won a free Malik Murphy jersey this year by correctly guessing the game. So there's a lot of great Longhorns because ESM supports the Longhorns, and he supports us. So we ask that you support him because there's a lot of great gear, and it's all authentic, and you can't beat it. Nor can you find most of that anywhere else. So,
I mean, look, hey, the Jonathan Brooks, it immediately makes your wall a lot better. If you look at my wall, looks great. Look, and it fits right in with the Earl Campbell, Jamal Charles,
it absolutely
and Ricky Williams jerseys.
And Nash for Christmas needs to get some framing done because the collection is growing. You got to get those framed up, and
I'm gonna have to rearrange some stuff, and I don't know. There's some real hard, difficult decisions that I'm gonna have to make in the future with having too many jerseys on the wall. I guess
too many.
Good problems.
No, not too many. Never too many. You know what? Let's talk about the game. Look, we are 10 minutes into the show already. It is time to talk about it. And let's start with Sark had his presser yesterday, and he came out and said, they had another good week of practice. And of course, every time I hear that, I'm like, Sark says that every week. Have they ever had a bad week of practice ever since Sark got here? I mean, clearly every week he's like, we had a great week of practice. But I'll say this, Orange Bloods is reporting in the War Room last night that it wasn't just a good week of practice. It was a very physical and aggressive week of practice. The guys are hitting hard in practice this week. They are getting ready, and it's all due to the fact that there's a lot of respect for Kansas State. They're playing hard-nosed football right now during practice, getting ready for what they're going to see on Saturday. And the report was that even Malik got into it. There was a lot of chippiness back and forth between the offense and defense, and Malik was right there with you, right there with them, just adding in his 2 cents here and there. You got to kind of love to see that from a quarterback, don't you guys, Aaron?
Yeah, no, it's not too surprising. I mean, he was fired up before the game last week. He was fired up during the game last week, but it's just a big deal that physicality has been like a theme of the week, because that's the number one thing I see when I watch Kansas State, man. It's just like these guys want to get on the edge, and they want to make people tackle that aren't usually comfortable tackling. They want to be very physical with their very veteran offensive line. So, yeah, I mean, they need the front to be super physical to, fill the holes and not allow those linemen to get to the second level. And then they need those guys, in the secondary or the linebackers just to be ready to make tackles in space. So you got to be aggressive to do that, because if you're thinking and you're second guessing when you're going to make a tackle in space, you're going to get burned, and you're especially going to get burned by this Kansas State team. So, yeah, I mean, it's good that that's an emphasis, because I think that's what the emphasis should be this week.
It'll also help if, the Texas offense is out there and they're on third down, and it's like, oh, wow, we've just faced an entirely more physical defense all week long in practice, and we're just completely ready for this at this point. Like, y'all, like if the Texas defense in the practice has set the physicality levels at such a high bar, maybe Kansas State, maybe they don't even appear physical at all to the offense. And a guy like Malik Murphy, that should surprise nobody. He is where Quinn Ewers is a guy that's going to lead by example. Malik Murphy is going to bark at you if you do the wrong thing. He is and that's not a bad thing.
No, it's a great thing.
There's more there, and it's honestly, it's a great example of there's no one right way to lead, right? It's like, why coaches? Why can a Mike McDaniels be a successful coach versus a guy like a Bill Belichick? Almost like two separate like philosophies, right? One's like a player's coach, one's just a authoritarian guy. Why are these 2 separate guys successful? It's because there's no one right answer, right?
Yeah.
There's no one right book. Now, I will say, as far as the right book, I do feel like, we'll talk about this a little bit later, but I do feel like the Texas baseball coach, there's been a manual that's been handed down from coach to coach ever since Gus. He handed the manual down to Augie, and Augie handed it to David Pierce. There has to be a manual. That's the only explanation of this.
I would love that to be true. And speaking of baseball, Texas man saying you need a LeBaron Johnson Jr. jersey.
That'd be a fun one.
I got some jerseys to debut on the baseball.
That would be baseball season is coming, and Texas man, the Fall World Series kicked off last night. We're going to talk about that coming up after we make our college picks. So LBJ didn't play, obviously, nor did Tanner Witt. But we will talk about what did happen. And so stick around, you seam heads. That's coming up after we make our picks on the rest of the college football season or this week's games. To your point, by the way, Nash, I think you made a great point about maybe Kansas State won't seem as physical if they're going at it in practice like they are. K-State's defensive line is small, right? I mean, they're not – they work because they work within that system, but they're not going to beat you one-on-one. Texas is going to have an edge up front at least. Now, K-State runs that 3-3-5, so they got the linebackers coming down. They're not very big either. They're not big all the way across the board. Part of the reason you run a 3-3-5 is because you don't have the 4 deep linemen who can take care of business on their own, right? This is the equalizer. If you're not recruiting the Texas style of defensive lineman, the SEC style of defensive lineman, if you can't get those, and there's only a handful of them every year anyway, it's, those dudes don't grow on trees. This is a way to minimize that and also be able to handle like a lot of the RPOs, a lot of the offenses that the Big 12 used to be very well known for. So because they're not very big, Kansas State likes to bring their guys down, moving forward and be aggressive. But if Texas lines up in a heavy formation, I think they can minimize some of that. And I think they can truly take advantage of K-State's deficiencies in this area. They can force K-State to not be as multiple as they want to be, not to disguise their coverages as much as they want to be. I think Texas has a real advantage there, and I expect Sark to be able to use that. It's similar to what Oklahoma State did. Oklahoma State kind of lined it up, and they let Arlie Garden go nuts against K-State. I expect a very similar game plan. I do think if Texas wins, this is a Jonathan Brooks day.
Well, at the very least, I know this drives people up the wall sometimes with how much Sark loves to run play action. But there's a good reason why he does it, is because the run game it's the same reason why people that, like, I was telling people that thought that we're going to go out there and we're going to run a spread offense, right? We're going to be running 4 wide receivers and throwing balls everywhere. No, that's not going to happen to Sark. Like, even with his high points per game, it's just not who he is. Everything comes as built off the run. And man, regardless if you're handing the ball off or it's play action pass, these linebackers are going to keep getting sucked down in this game. And it's going to be a situation where if they don't, please hand the ball off to Jonathan Brooks and let that dude work. Because it's just there are few running backs, if any running backs, that I would trust more with the ball in space than Jonathan Brooks.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, Travis, I think you hit it, right? I mean, Texas is, they're the bigger team on paper. They're the more talented team on paper. This is still Texas versus Kansas State. This is the whole thing with Texas football over the past 8 to 10 years, right? I mean, obviously this team is just more talented and it is just better than the other teams. But overall, this is still all the narratives about playing down to your competition, about, getting beat, just by a few small things here or there, like not being the most physical team when you should be the most physical team. Like, this is the game where they can just make a statement and say, this is a different Texas football team than all of those other football teams that have let the fans down over the years, or that have lost a game just like this, where it's if they lose this game, Kansas State's pretty good and Texas had their backup quarterback. But at the end of the day, this is just a massive opportunity to be no, this team is different. We don't care about the excuses. We're going to go out. We're going to win this game against Kansas State at home, because at the end of the day, this is Kansas State and it is at home. Just find a way to get it done. I mean, I think that's just the big theme of the week for me. It's this is the week where this Texas team can be we are different than the other teams.
And you know what? If there was a week to turn it on and just play a complete game, look, perfect week, Texas. Perfect week.
Yeah, it is. It is. And maybe needed, because look, K-State has figured it out. Now, listen, their schedule has been a little soft over the last 3 weeks. It's, Houston, TCU, Texas Tech, I think it was. I mean, but they dominated those games in ways that Texas hasn't. Texas still has not dominated the opponents they should be dominating. K-State is doing it. So they figured
Houston
it out.
After we played a close game.
Well, and you could make an argument that not only was that Houston was coming off the tough loss to Texas, and that
it's not transitive properties, but
it's not at all. I mean, the emotional letdown after the Texas game, preceded by the emotional letdown of the West Virginia game. Houston it had to have been hard to get them motivated going into that game, but they still held Donovan Smith to 88 yards passing. They still destroyed them. I mean, they've given up 6 points, 9 points, something like that in the last 2 weeks to TCU and Houston.
There was a Mitch Fortner from Kansas State. He's the PA guy there. He was on Almora's show yesterday, and I believe he said in Kansas State's last 9 quarters, they've outscored their opponent 103-3.
There you
Something
go.
like that. I don't know if I nailed it exactly, but it was something along the lines of that where it was like, oh boy.
Yeah. I mean, but that's what I mean by they've hit their stride. They figured it out. They're playing football at a very high level right now, and you can't dismiss it just because they've played some weaker teams the last couple of weeks. They've done what you're supposed to do.
Yep.
Texas has not done that yet.
Which
they
going
won.
into the Oklahoma game is what we were saying, right? It was Oklahoma hasn't really played anyone, but at the same time we were like, but they've been beating the crap out of these teams that they should be. So it was kind of the same narrative there, right? So it's just something you can't fully discount. Yeah, you should be aware of it, but you can't fully discount because it reminds me of what we were saying about Oklahoma before that game.
That's a good point. And by the way, I would say the game going into OU, I was saying they needed to dominate. Texas needed to dominate the rushing game to win that. And they kind of did, but they also kind of abandoned it. I don't want to see them abandon the rush in this game. If they do, I think Texas is in trouble. If they're having to rely on Malik Murphy to lead them to victory, Malik can get his shots in. I'm not saying he can't have a good game, but he's not going to carry this team. He's just not there yet. And you can't expect him to be there yet. He's still a freshman, making only his second start after making only 10, 12 starts in high school. He's not ready to carry this team yet.
And I will say,
got to put it on Brooks's legs.
Yeah. And one other thing, like thinking back to the OU game, when we were doing this exact show before the OU game, the Friday morning show after the War Room, we were talking about that War Room, and it was all like, yeah, Oklahoma's going to come at us with a lot of stuff. We got to be prepared to take the punch. We got to be able to settle in and react. Different War Room report this week and different media sessions, like different tone from the media sessions this week, right? This week it's more, we've been aggressive. We've been physical. We're going to come out and take it to these guys. Like pretty much the opposite of what we were hearing before OU, where it's like, oh man, they're going to throw the kitchen sink at us and we just got to survive the surge. Like,
yeah, weather the storm.
So I think that is good to hear.
Well, and you know what? They almost did weather the storm, and they almost did survive that surge versus Oklahoma. It really, if you look at it, I just keep falling back on this. Without two major, like when we're talking about like major, of the highest order of defensive breakdowns that you can have, where you're just leaving a wide receiver wide open. Outside of those, if you remove those two plays, you can actually really realistically conceive Texas winning versus Oklahoma. And us being 8-0 right now, and being able to afford a Kansas State loss. But I think you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, listen, thank you, Lewis, for reminding me and reminding everyone. Guys, hit that like button. Do us a favor. It helps out the show. It helps us out. And like Aaron's talked about, we're trailing the other shows in the like button challenge. I don't think they even realize there's a like button challenge. I don't know, but there is.
We did good yesterday, man. I mean, part of that was obviously because of the jersey giveaway, but the people have been stepping it up and we appreciate it.
Damn Skippy. So do us a favor, hit that like button. And you should do yourself a favor and subscribe to the channel, but we'll remind you that later. I do want to talk real quick about the defense, by the way. I know we're going to move on to our picks here really soon, but this is going to be a challenge. Again, I've been concerned about the pass defense for a couple weeks now. Again, I think Will Howard can take advantage of that. He's not the best quarterback in the world, but he's pretty darn good. He's still the defending Big 12 champion for a reason. He also makes plays with his legs, and that's what they want to do. They want to run the ball to open the pass. They want to use the quarterback run to key open their other running game. Giddens is no what's the name of their running back from last year on the Cowboys now? Deuce Vaughn. Thank you. He's no Deuce Vaughn, but he's not bad. It's the quarterbacks you got to watch out for, both Will Howard and Avery Johnson. Avery's fast. I think somebody said he's the fast. I think Kleiman said he's the fastest guy on their offense. I don't know if he's honestly that fast. I think guys like Anthony Hill.
He's pretty fast.
He's
fast. He's fast, but
huge.
To be the fastest guy on their team, I think
I'll be honest with Will Howard. He needs to be writing the opposing defensive backs that he's been playing against a lot of thank you notes and Christmas cards. because he has had way too many passes that should be intercepted, and they're just completely dropped. Like this dude, I mean, you want to talk about if he was, and I mean this with complete serious. If he was the Texas quarterback, I would have us as a 5-1 season. He is not good at all. When he like I'm talking about like if he's starting to pass a ball over 30 yards, first off, you're not going to see it outside of the center and outside the center of the field. And if it's in the center of the field, like it's not pretty, right? It's like this is a game that I maintain that these Texas defensive backs, they should be able to handle this with Will Howard. And I want them to take advantage of this, because if it's not, then hey, just like Houston, it's a problem.
All right, that's fair. By the way, I was going to say and I hope you're right, but again, the scheme of the secondary has worried me. Now the running game, Anthony Hill, who Sark singled out yesterday. Somebody asked Sark who's the players who have improved the most this year. He mentioned Jonathan Brooks, of course, an Elite Sports Memorabilia client. He mentioned DJ Campbell, another ESM client, by the way. If you'd love a DJ Campbell jersey, and that 52 would be pretty cool, you can find that at ESM. But the guy he started with, the guy he singled out, was Anthony Hill. Oh, yeah. Also, an Elite Sports Memorabilia client who just signed last week. So, I mean, just did his signings, his autographs last week. So you can go get those jerseys right now. But he singled Anthony Hill out as having improved throughout the year. And he was like, he was always a flash play guy. He was making plays early. But the consistency that Anthony Hill's playing with now, according to Sark, has moved him from being just a flash play guy to the starter. And we're seeing that. He's supplanted David Benda as the starter. He is making a lot of plays. He's going to be needed big time against Will Howard and Avery Johnson to stop that running quarterback game this week.
Yeah, I think so, man. I mean, the running quarterback stuff is scary because it's just a way to generate big plays. And, I was watching the Kansas State TCU game again. A lot of big plays in that game for Kansas State. So you want to make these guys drive down the field. I mean, Nash has his reservations about Will Howard. And if he's right, then that's just a guy you want to make nickel and dime down the field. Don't give him big chunk plays. Like, make this guy beat you, which, I mean, I say it every week. But, yeah, I mean, it's definitely a big play offense in kind of a unique way because they don't stretch the field a ton, but like the way they run the ball it can generate explosive runs pretty easily. So you got to be pretty locked in.
Yeah. I mean, look, you don't got to convince me about Anthony Hill being a bit. That was the first thing that I talked about when we were talking about the game this week was that's just, he's honestly, him having a good game, honestly, probably is the difference between a win or loss. Like shutting down because here's the deal. One, I always go back to the Lou Holtz has had one of the best quotes when it comes to quarterbacks of all time, because we experienced it firsthand. Every time Shane Buechele would drive the ball down the field, we'd hand the ball to Tyrone Swoops in the red zone, and then once teams figured out he could not pass the ball and that he was only a running threat, that's when our threat ended in the red zone. And Lou Holtz always talked about how if you have two quarterbacks, you have none, because you need one quarterback. It's the position that, hey, we need to know that we got a guy, right? And here we're just going to shove you the ball. Here, take the ball and go win us the game because you're the quarterback. And that's where people have issues with game managers at times. Well, honestly, one of the best ways to make that a reality is to shut down Will Howard and to force Kansas State into going, you know what?
Yeah.
Crap, we got to play Johnson.
Yeah.
And then, but Johnson's not there as a passer, so now we got to put Will Howard back out. And then when you're playing that song and dance, it's just if Anthony Hill has a good game, you could easily see a situation where Kansas State's saying, "Oh crap, now we got to play catch up. We're not able to take these dink and dunk drives that we've taken all year long, that we've thrived on." And honestly, something that stood out to me was if you go and look at Texas, Texas is one of the best third down teams in the nation. We're ranked third and not allowing third downs. You combine that with the gripes that we've had about defensive backs playing 20 yards off the line of scrimmage when it's 3rd and 2. I'm being really exaggerating right there, but it's just
not by much.
But it goes to show, like, this team could honestly probably be better on the third down numbers.
Yeah.
If you even played a little bit more conservative. But it tells me, man, there has to be a reason. If PK is willing to give up third downs on certain areas, there's got to be a rhyme or reason for it. He's not just doing it willy-nilly, like saying, okay, you know what, let's just play the defense. I think this all comes back down to force these long drives, force the offense to be on the field for a long time, and then tighten up in the red zone.
That's definitely it. I don't want to see K-State get a lot of red zone opportunities because they can convert. And by the way, Lou Holtz may have said if you have 2 quarterbacks, then you have none. But I guarantee he didn't say it as cleanly as you said it, Nash. I'm just saying.
Oh, I did not.
It was a lot harder.
I ramble a lot. I ramble way too much. So
Nash, did you guys see? Nash said, "quote," and this reminded. Did you guys see the James Harden quote? I'm not going to derail us too much, but
yes. I'm not.
He said they turned me into
a system.
He said, they treated me like a system player. I'm not a system player. I am a system. Just a great quote.
No, I think he said, "I am the system." There's a little bit of a. There's just that little bit of arrogance that's added on when you say.
There's a whole lot of arrogance.
Yeah, I think there's more than a little arrogance in that quote. I'm just
saying with the word change of A to the.
By the way, are you guys going to the game this weekend?
Which game?
I am not.
To the football game.
Yes.
Then you know what you need to do, right?
Hit up Specs.
Damn Skippy, you need to hit up Specs and listen. It's an early game. So you maybe want to hit it up early, like today, so that you're ready to go, because you're not going to want to hit up Spec. I don't even know what time they open it. Maybe like 10 a.m. or something like that. I don't know. You probably need to get ready before you go tailgate. So go hit up Specs today. Listen, it's a Texas born and bred company. There's a lot of locations around the state. It's easy to find. But the other way to do it, go hit up Specs online or use your Specs app. You can get it delivered today. That way you're ready to go for tomorrow, whether you are going to the game or staying at home. And Nash messages, 10 a.m. So you don't want to hit it up tomorrow. If you're going to tailgate, you definitely want to go hit them up today.
No matter what you're needing, Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
It's the spectacular sweets I love, but you know what's not sweet is my game picks. Oh, jeez, 3-7 last week.
First above 40, yeah.
Hey, only 2 games back. I've got a shot here.
No, I have no shot. You've been pushing. You've been pushing for that top spot now.
10 games below 500. Woo!
Honestly, you know what? I could take the strategic way to finish out the season and just pick the same picks as Aaron the rest of the way through so that we can't.
I mean, if we get a whiff of that, I'm just going to start doing all of us do our picks on separate docs and submit it before the show.
Oh, look at that. That's called a producer trump card right there. That's laying down the law.
Well, that's not a good way to do picks. I mean, we have to be genuine for the people. I mean, that's the only way this whole thing works.
Aaron will start having decoy picks, and then he'll change it up last second.
All right, we're going to get to the picks, but look, we just got a Jay Lee super chat in. Thank you again, Jay Lee. Appreciate the support. And for the rest of you, the Specs chat line is great, but to guarantee you get your question answered, Jay Lee knows what to do. You do the super chat. $5 Again, thank you, Jay. If you didn't watch the game and the first stat you heard was that Texas had 0 turnovers, what would be your first thought about what the result was?
Are we giving or taking turnovers? That's my question.
Hey, that's not – it's just whether Texas turns the ball over or not.
Yeah, the offense turns the ball over.
Yeah. I'm telling you right now, if I see that Texas has 0 turnovers, that means Malik has played a clean game. and the run game is likely being very successful. Because I think if Malik's putting it up 30, 40, 50 times, there's not going to be 0 turnovers. The K-State's good at turning the ball over, getting turnovers. So I'm telling if I see there's 0 turnovers and I haven't watched the game, I assume Texas won.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm on the same page. My main concern was turnovers and giving Kansas State a short field where their red zone offense can kind of take over. I think if there's 0 turnovers, and that means Texas is probably running the ball well, and that means Kansas State is having to drive the length of the field, then I'd be thinking Texas wins. So yeah, I think it's.
I'm really glad this comment was brought up, because if you look back to the Kansas State game last year, multiple times the ball was put on the deck, and multiple times Kansas State either came away with the fumble or got their own fumble back. I know that was a gripe with the Texas fans last year, was we had too many times that a ball would be on the ground and dudes, whether it was on offense or defense, were trying to scoop and score the thing. And it's like, just jump on top of it and get us possession, right? Worry about that first. Kansas State, whether you want to call it luck or whatever, at this point, I've seen it enough where it's not like whether it's a tip drill, whether it's a ball's just squirted out, and it is obviously at this point coached. Like, it is hammered into these dudes' heads that when that ball just ends up where it's not supposed to be, they're going to flock to that ball, and they're going to get there, and it's a team-wide thing. So this is honestly, yeah, if we're talking about the offense having 0 turnovers, that would give me a lot of confidence.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with that. Thank you again, Jay. We appreciate that question. I think that was a good one, and I actually enjoyed answering that one. Also, but it is time. We got to get to the picks, and Two Broke pointing out Aaron needs this week in the picks chase against Nash because, well,
I think he's talking about specs.
No. He's talking about the picks, saying you need a little pick-me-up after.
They both apply.
After the week you've had. That's what he's trying to say. Go Rangers is what he's saying.
No, I understood. I'm saying I think he meant like I need alcohol after the week.
Well, it may be true too. I don't know. Did you enjoy your ice cream and Survivor?
Yeah, it was nice. Whoever said the Survivor episode was good in the live chat, it was good.
It was good. Yeah, it was that was a heck of a
Survivor.
The thing at the end there.
Yeah, we gotta go.
We go. All right.
Yes.
Let's get on to the picks. LSU, Alabama. This is a big game. The winner of this game is likely going to end up in the SEC championship game. Obviously, Texas needs Bama to kind of win out for any hope. Not any hope, but, it helps the resume later in the season if Bama continues to win. And they have continued to win since losing to Texas. Bama are 3-point favorites at home in Tuscaloosa. The over-under is 61.5. Aaron, what do you got?
Man, I really wanted to pick LSU in this game. I think the -3, it's a pretty small number. I think LSU has a really good shot to win this game. It took me a long time. I really had a tough time deciding, but I'm just not picking a team to go on the road and win in Tuscaloosa with the defense that bad. Chris Gordy mentioned the injury concerns. Even when there weren't that many injuries, the defense was not playing well. When it came time to make the pick, I was like, I just cannot pick a team to go on the road and win this game with the defense this bad, even though I really believe in the LSU offense.
All right. Nash, are you going opposite Aaron?
You know what? Aaron just convinced me, because I was not thinking about the Chris Gordy
don't
injuries.
Start doing that now.
No. Hold on.
Okay.
I was gonna say I was exactly where Aaron was, except for I was trying to convince myself to take Alabama. The way that I saw this was, if this ends up being a high-scoring game, that goes into LSU's favor. But I completely forgot about the defensive note that Chris Gordy made about the injuries. And this is a week where I think that Jalen Milroe could take advantage of going over the top on this defense. So I'm gonna go back and Aaron convinced I was looking for a reason, and Aaron gave it to me.
You're changing your pick to Bama, and it was an excellent note from Chris Gordy. I totally agree with it. And by the way, LSU can be got in the secondary. They could be got in the secondary before the injuries. So is going to be a Milroe game. Bama's okay at running the ball. They're not what they have been traditionally, but they're still
and they
pretty
have a good defense. If they can limit, this is one of the things we're on the opposite side of what I just said. If it's a low scoring game, this is Bama's game.
Listen, I've gone back and forth all week in my head about who I think is going to win this game, and I even thought about like Bama's defense was able to shut down Ole Miss's offense. I mean, shut them down, right? But then I also thought about, well, Texas was able to get theirs against Bama by being aggressive, by going. That wasn't like a run-heavy game script. That was the most pass-heavy game script we've seen from Sark this year. I'd like to see a little more of that, to be honest, when Quinn's back. But that's what convinced me to go with LSU because, frankly, Jaden Daniels is playing better football than Quinn, and Quinn is playing some damn good football. Jaden Daniels is playing Heisman-worthy. Malik Neighbors is a stud. LSU, I don't know that Bama's going to stop them enough, nor do I think Milroe and this offense can score enough to keep up with LSU. Give me the Tigers on the road. I think they win. So I'm on Travis Island again, so that's good for you guys. That means Bama probably will win.
I mean, if Daniels had 50% of a defense more, 50% more of a defensive effort, then he would be winning the Heisman this year.
Yeah, well, and he may still anyway, especially if they go into Bama and win this week. That could be enough to get him the Heisman. The second game of the week in the SEC is Missouri versus Georgia, going on the road between the hedges. The Dogs, 15-point favorites, over under 55.5. You know what? I stuck with the Dogs last week, and I think that was the smart move. That was one of the 3 wins I had against 6 losses. I'm sticking with them again. Give me Georgia despite the 15 points, despite the fact that Missouri has a damn good offense too, by the way. Luther Burden III is a stud. Their quarterback's playing well. I forget his name all the time, but that's doesn't matter. I'm still taking Georgia. Give me the Bulldogs. All right. Yep.
Yeah, I'm with Travis on Georgia here. The 15 points is certainly a lot, but I just think this is another classic case of an up-and-coming SEC East team that's having a nice season. They look pretty good, but are they good enough to go into Georgia and really hang with them? I don't think so. I'm just going to ride with Georgia on this one.
For me, this is a classic case of Georgia. They played a ton of teams close. And then every single time that you think that they're going to play a team close, they go out there and they just blow the team out of the water that they're about to play. I just think that 15 points is just too much when you're talking about the wide receivers that they have. Georgia still has that SEC Georgia defense, but and I'm not going to make something like with Brock Bowers being more than it is, but I just think 15 points is too much. I'm going to take Mizzou.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. Now it's Nash Island out there. The next game of the week, going out to the Pac-12, which has been entertaining this year, if nothing else. Washington going on the road to LA to take on USC. UW is only 3-point favorites. Now the over-under 76.5, so they're expecting a lot of points in this one. And that's because neither defense is great. But to me, USC's defense is not just bad, it's god-awful. I don't think they have what's his name back yet, the defensive lineman who transferred from Georgia, who's from Dallas area. Bear Alexander. I don't think they have Bear Alexander back. Washington's too much for them. I don't understand why this would only be 3 points because I don't see it with USC. I just don't. So give me the Washington Huskies.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing, right? I mean, I was going through it. This is definitely the official. This is a weird line game of the week, right? This is definitely the Vegas wants you to bet
and
Washington.
And it's been bet down, by the way. It was started at like 4 and then went to 3.5, and now it's down to 3. It's moving in the wrong direction.
Yeah, so that's just another bad sign. But I'm still taking Washington. I mean, betting against USC has been very profitable this year. I feel like the Sharps are going to be on USC. I feel like Vegas wants me to take Washington. I feel like a total square, but I'm going to take Washington.
Washington, man, they have just – you can talk about how piss poor USC's defense is. but at least they have an offense. And at least that offense has been consistently performing. You look at it, Arizona State at home, they didn't have a single offensive touchdown. Washington did. They had to rely on a pick six to win the game versus Arizona State.
Yeah,
like a one lot. And then they go out and then they follow that up by playing Stanford to the wire. It just
they've been down the last couple of weeks.
Make it make sense. Washington, they're on like it's not just USC. They got Utah, Oregon State after this. They are, and then Washington State. Like, look, if those last two games, if you thought those last two games were hard, buckle up. It's going to get rough here, and I think that starts with this week. I think USC not only covers but wins.
Yeah,
are they favored?
Yep. And ESN makes a good point. Texas fans definitely rooting for USC. Not that Washington's going to run the table. We mentioned the schedule, but just in general, we need more chaos in the Pac-12 as far as the playoffs are concerned.
And Nash is on an island with his USC pick, which apparently covers one
back-to-back islands.
So, listen, I'm sorry. I just can't pick a defense that gives up 50 points, 49 points to Cal. I just can't do it.
I mean, it just comes down to this. If this is an offensive game, both two offenses, I'm going to take the offense that I think has been better.
Can't do it. Not going to do it. Won't do it. All right. UCLA is sticking out west. UCLA versus a resurgent Arizona, by the way, who came back and beat. They've played tough games against Washington. They played tough. They beat Oregon State last week. I'm telling you guys, they've been recruiting a couple of 5-stars. I'm telling you right now, you Big 12 fans, not that Texas needs to worry about this or OU needs to worry about this, but Big 12 fans need to realize this is a team on the rise. Arizona is a tough football team. They're taking on another tough football team, though, UCLA. This is in Arizona. This is in Tucson, but UCLA is still 3-point favorites. I don't like this, but I'm going to take the Bruins. Aaron, who you got?
Yeah. So the spread here is UCLA -3. I'm going to take Arizona. I think they cover. I also think they win. They've got a lot of momentum. They've been playing better on both sides of the ball lately, and they're at home. I just think it's a good combination of everything kind of coming together, and I think they'll come through and find a way to win this game.
I don't dislike that pick at all. Jetfish is doing a really good job out there.
Yeah,
Nash,
look, Arizona, they are. You want to talk about one of the biggest teams on a rise? They a 7-point loss to number 7 Washington, 2-point loss to number 9 USC. Then all they've done is beat number 19 Washington State at Washington State, and then Oregon State number 11. So they're playing hot right now, but at the same time, one of the sneakiest defenses in college football right now that's just flying under the radar is UCLA. UCLA is playing out of their mind on the defensive side of the football right now. Top 10 in about every category that you would like. I think top 15 in just about every single category. Just going to be an absolute slugfest out there. And then this is a true Pac-12 after dark. You want to talk about 10:30 start on the game, Central Time. This is going to be a late game, like 1 a.m.
I was noticing the games are layered really well this week. Like we have good games in the 11 a.m. time slot. We have good 2:30 games. We have good primetime games. And then we have 2 good late games.
It's 9:30 Central Time. I was off your wife on Friday. It's 9:30 Central.
It's a damn good weekend of football.
It's been a great season of football.
It has been, and it's going too fast.
Some great slates.
It really makes me sad because it's going way too fast. It's going to be over before we know it, and then I'm going to, be crying. Anyway, the next game is Notre Dame versus Clemson. Clemson, it's in Death Valley. Notre Dame are 3-point favorites. Clemson have lost 4 conference games already. Hey, just this year, it took them. They didn't lose 4 conference games in like the last 5 years combined. They are not the same Clemson team that we know, from recent history. Tyler from Spartanburg will tell you they suck. That Dabo Swinney sucks. I kind of agree with him. By the way, I've never been a Dabo Swinney fan. I kind of revel in this a little bit.
Dabo hates his own fans.
Do what?
Dabo hates his own fans.
He does hate his own fans.
He's been telling them like, oh, look, I got some pushback for. I agree with what Dabo said with that caller, right? But it's like that is a one individual thing. But if you combine everything as a whole, what has Dabo done in the last few weeks? Okay. Well, he started off by saying, you know what? Y'all are just all bandwagon fans. Maybe I should go lose games on purpose. What did you just say?
Yeah.
You're gonna purposely and then you actually lose the game. So the fair question would be, hey, Dabo, did you lose that game on purpose, sir? Like, were you serious? I'm taking you as a Christian man for your word.
I thought that Tyler was out of line, and I think Dabo's out of line.
And then,
I think
and
they're
then you
both
go and
losers
you
in this
throw your
situation.
quarterback. Hey, not just throw my quarterback. Let me shove him underneath the bus.
Yep.
Make sure the tire goes over the top of him. And then the next one, and then as soon as a fan goes and question, first off, you're the second highest paid coach in college football, right? Just shut up and take your medicine, right? Like you're making $11 million a year to listen to questions like that, and then you got to go and get all butthurt about Dabo. Man, the writing is on the wall. Look, it's not looking good in Clemson.
I agree, which is why I'm picking Notre Dame. Give me the Fighting Irish. Nash, you on board with the Irish?
I would not pick Clemson. If you gave me 100 times, I would.
All right, Aaron, is it a sweep?
Look, the minute last year when Dabo took the podium and said the only NIL we need is Jesus, I was just like, this program is headed in the wrong direction. I was immediately concerned.
Aaron, you don't mean to tell me that the kids would rather take an NIL paycheck over having a slide in the clubhouse?
I don't know. I just know, like, go back and find that exact press conference, because I don't know if I'm getting exactly right, but he was like, we don't need NIL. We have God on our side.
And then on top of that,
man, the ACC is headed in a bad direction. I'm going
North.
North.
He wants to give a roster spot to every single coach's son out there. So,
all right, it is time for our weekly over/under pick in the Iowa game. They're going on the road to Northwestern in Chicago, or it's actually just outside of Chicago, isn't it? It's anyway, it's Chicago's team, basically. It's Chicagoland playing Northwestern. These are two really bad offenses. The over/under is now at 30.5. I think we can get it down below 30. One book had it opening up at 29.5, which is a record low. So over/under Iowa, Northwestern. What you got, Aaron?
I'm taking the under. I can't imagine having an over ticket in this game and having to watch it and rooting for points. I mean, you just talk about 3 hours of hell. It would be having money on the over and actually like rooting for these teams.
I'm right there with you. I love this. This is the first time we're seeing the Iowa Hawkeyes with Brian. I mean, Brian Ferentz will still be calling the plays. He's still the coordinator, but he's already been canned. He's out of there at the end of the season because this offense is so bad. If you take the under in the Iowa games, I think they're 6-2 this year. They've only covered the over twice. How can you possibly take the over, Nash?
Well, I need clarification. Is Brian fired? Is he out the door already, or is he still?
He's fired, but effective at the end of the season. He's calling plays.
Oh, I'm taking the under. I thought he was out the door. I thought he was out the door. I thought that some graduate assistant was going to be given the reins and that he was going to be able to get. No, yeah, I'm taking the under. I thought Brian was out the door. I was like, man, to me, this was going to be like a classic moment of, okay, whoever replaces Brian just absolutely proves everybody right, saying that he was showing how terrible of an offensive coordinator he was. But if he's you could probably, if I knew that he was still the offensive coordinator, I thought they did the right thing by actually like firing him and saying, "Shoo, be gone now." I might have taken the under on 15 points here. Like it's and honestly, one of the funniest Ty on the Pat McAfee show. If you want to listen to one of the funniest takes on a fan on his own team, go listen to his take on the Iowa offenses and the quarterback. Great stuff from him.
Just so
terrible. I feel bad for Iowa fans, man.
Like, I did too, for having to watch that crap.
Well, because here's the deal: every year they've had a really good defense too. So it's like if they even just have like a tenth of a high school offense. They're probably like actually in the conversation for the playoffs every year.
Absolutely. I agree. By the way, their rivals, their in-state rivals, Iowa State will be hosting Kansas. That's the next game on the docket. Iowa State only one loss in conference. They're still alive for the Big 12 championship game. They've got the Jayhawks fresh off the upset of OU coming into town. Aaron, who you got? Iowa State's 2.5-point favorites, by the way.
Yeah, Iowa State favored by 2.5 here. This was a tough one. Kansas has been a lot better at home than they have been on the road. It was a big emotional win at home against Oklahoma last week. Iowa State's always generally better at home, as most college teams are. I think this is a letdown spot for Kansas, even though I do think they're probably the better team on a neutral field. I'm going to take Iowa State here just because I don't think Kansas is the same team on the road, and it's a letdown spot after the Oklahoma win.
Nash?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Kansas has been a different team on the road. I'm really interested to see what Jalen Daniels, because it looked like he was pretty close to possibly coming back last week. So it feels like if they need to make a change, I wonder what his level of availability is. But I'm still going to be taking Kansas. I feel like this is a classic spot for Iowa State to maybe drop a game, maybe get a good Matt Campbell quote at the end of the game, all that stuff, get a good clip.
All right. I'm taking Kansas. I think even with Jason Bean, Iowa State's not a bad team. Clearly, they're, like I said, they're in contention for the Big 12 championship game. They're 2.5-point favorites. But I do like Kansas. I think they're going to win on the road. So I'll take the Jayhawks. Time for Bedlam. Stoopsified. What you got? Oklahoma going on the road to Stillwater. Oklahoma State, the Sooners, is 6-point favorites, but they've been struggling the last 2 weeks. And in fact, they struggled against UCF. They lost to Kansas. Ooh, this one is tough, though. I originally, when I started our doc and put in the picks, I went with OU. But you know what changed my mind was the fact that, again, I think Texas should have been running the ball against OU more. I think that would have been that we said going into the game, and I still believe it. Texas should have run it down OU's throat. It was there for the taking. That if they had won the run game, they would have won the game. Mike Gundy's not going to make that mistake. He's going to run Ollie Gordon all damn day long. And it's in Stillwater. They've got the chip on their shoulder. I think you have every reason to be scared, Stoopsified. I'm taking Oklahoma State. Give me the Cowboys.
Yeah, so Oklahoma's favored by 6 here. I think Oklahoma's the better team. I think Oklahoma probably finds a way to win, but on the road, a home game for Oklahoma State, 6 points feels like a lot in a Bedlam game. Weird stuff's always happening. I would just be more comfortable having the points. So I'm just going to take Oklahoma State plus the 6.
Nash?
Yeah, this is Oklahoma State. They are going to go out. If there was ever, like we talked about Texas being physical in practice this week, I would be very surprised if they were not treating this like they had a national championship berth, and that's the game that they're practicing for, because this is your one last shot at the team that you hate. And this reminds me a lot of Texas. I said it. I mentioned it earlier in the week. This reminds me of when Texas beat Texas A&M, when Texas A&M was going off into the SEC, and we didn't know we didn't know when the next time we're going to play them again is. So get the win while you can. Now it is a little bit different because it's like different roles are reversed, the little brother versus the big brother. But I agree with you, Travis. That was where I was. This is, you hand the ball to Ollie Gordon, and Oklahoma's had a bad run defense as of late. And it's just, I think that this is a game where they go out there, it's physical off the rip, and they end up beating Oklahoma and send them to, honestly, probably out of Big 12 championship contention.
Yeah. Oh, definitely out of Big 12. That's on the line for both Texas and OU. And if I heard you correctly, I think what you said was to the Cowboys, you only got one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime, yo.
Oh,
Is that what you were
well,
saying?
he says yo. Yeah.
I've heard that before. I've heard that. I've heard that.
You just got to lose yourself in the moment. The
Well-
movement, the moment. You own it. You better not let it go. Oh. All right. We're moving on. Now, Eminem,
Jay-Z?
8 Mile, Eminem.
Not what? Who?
Aaron really is a sports. You were sport. You know what?
He is,
No, here's the deal.
he
We
is
could
don't
probably.
listen to
I'm not a
music.
music
I
guy
don't listen to
either,
music.
but you are the nerdiest of sports nerds.
Well,
It
we
is
could-
a
we would- we
one-track
could-
mind.
Travis, we could probably just like literally have like an AI pull up random sports facts inside of just baseball, football, basketball, and then just ask him random things like, okay, like who won on July 20th of 2022 versus Arizona Diamondbacks versus whoever. Oh yeah, the exact box score was this and all that.
I really thought it was Jay-Z. All right, one more game.
You know what? It was a good show. Way to go, buddy. Good try. Let's wrap it up with A&M. Our weekly look at Texas A&M. They are going on the road to the Grove, taking on Ole Miss. Ole Miss is 3-point favorites. By the way, this is another line that's been bet down. So Ole Miss were I think they started at like 5.5. That's been coming down. The money's coming in on A&M. Aaron, are you following the money? You taking A&M on the road in the Grove?
No, Ole Miss -3. I feel like every time I picked A&M this year, they don't cover, and then I feel gross and I hate myself. It's like, why did I even do this in the first place? So I just don't want to pick A&M. I think Ole Miss is better. I think Jimbo Fisher is coaching this game on the road, so I'm going
Nash,
Ole Miss -3.
You going with the Aggies or the Rebels?
If you're a Texas fan, you want what my predictions are saying is going to happen. You want Oklahoma State to win. You want Ole Miss to win. And you want Texas to beat Kansas State by 17 points at home. So if all three of those things happen, and what time slot is Texas A&M Ole Miss in? Is that a night game?
I think 2:30.
Yeah, I
2:30?
think that's here. Give me a second.
I'll double
Because
check.
we're gonna have the morning game, then you got the afternoon. game.
It's opposite Texas. It's the noon
So it's
Eastern,
the night
the
game.
11 a.m. game.
Oh, it's an 11 a.m. game. Okay, never mind. Okay, well, so
Uh,
if you're at the game, you're not going to be able to watch both. You're going to have to kind of go back and the Aggies lost, do one of those on the way to the car. But yeah, Ole Miss, Jimbo is going to have to answer some questions, and maybe those donors, the big money donors, are going to have to field some calls about trying to do some fundraising here soon.
Aaron, this is a great question. Who won on November 24th, 2011?
that seems like a day where Texas would have beaten Texas A&M.
That's
on a Justin Tucker field
absolutely
goal.
a day where Texas beat Texas A&M on a Justin Tucker field goal. Damn,
Right there, baby.
Dang,
That was the last time they played.
there it is.
A&M didn't win that day. They're not going to win tomorrow either. Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin is going to rub it in Jimbo's face all day long. I know that sounded worse than I meant it to sound, but regardless, give me Ole Miss. I'm going to take the Rebels. I know A&M has a damn good defensive line. They can shut down the run. Quinshon Judkins is going to struggle to get his yards tomorrow. But that secondary can definitely be got. And Ole Miss has the horses to do it. So I'm taking Ole Miss in that one. That's it for the picks. But we absolutely cannot leave without, I know we're running late, but we got to talk fall ball. Aaron, what'd you see last night?
Yeah, I was at the Dish last night. Game 1 of the Texas Fall World Series. Cody Howard, the redshirt sophomore out of Baylor, 5 no-hit innings. I think the big thing there was he threw 5 innings. Health has always been a big issue for him. His arm is finally feeling good. His fastball had good run. Peyton Powell provided the only runs, 2-run opposite field homer in the first inning. Whatever you think Peyton Powell is going to do on offense this year, just raise your expectations. Like, he just looks way too comfortable at the plate. We'll be able to talk more as baseball season gets closer, but those were kind of some big takeaways for me. Also, Tommy Farmer, freshman, just putting it out there now. That guy's going to be something. I don't know if it'll be this year, but
I'll say with how frequently his name was coming up. Don't rule out this year. This year it's in the cards possibly. Yeah. But man, yeah. Look, if you're telling me Peyton Powell looks more confident than last, and comfortable at the plate, that's literally hard for me to imagine, because I'm literally just thinking back. I clipped so many times moments from Texas baseball last year, and I can't tell. Peyton Powell was the one dude who, it honestly almost looks like it's bordering on the lines of, do you even care? Right? Do you even care when you're he just looks up he's just like, okay, yeah, no, here's an at bat, here we go, right? Just time to hit again, right? Almost like that, and then goes out
an opposite field double. That's just a thing of beauty.
And then he also goes out there, and what he's doing on the defensive side of the ball, it's like, hey, by the way, maybe one of the best third basemen defensively since David Merle. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. Just, yeah. Look,
I do love me some Peyton Powell.
Look, as a former 15 myself, love to hear it. Love to see it. Yeah. I'm pumped. Road to Omaha starts now.
We got game tonight, don't we?
We do have a game tonight. I will be there for that one.
Yeah, head out to the Dish tonight. Before we got the full slate of college football tomorrow, we have game 2 of the Fall World Series tonight at the Dish. Free attendance, free parking, 6 o'clock first pitch. Come on out.
The Sunday night is going to be on Sunday one's going to be on LHN, and I will be clipping that one. I'll be at home and I'll be clipping that and hopefully having a video out further.
Perfect.
Love that because I lost LHN. So, and
I'm going to have to reacquire it, but
hey, help Elite Sports Memorabilia out, guys. If you got connections, he's trying to get LBJ or Jared Thomas. Who wouldn't love to get an LBJ jersey or a Jared Thomas jersey? Or you know what? ESM, by the way, the little mini bats, autographed little mini bats would be freaking awesome. Whoa. I'm just saying, just throwing that out there. That would be really cool.
Yeah, there's so many names. You like Porter Brown in the chat right now. Tanner Witt even. Look, hey, Jared Thomas, one of the best leadoffs I've seen. What he did last year at the leadoff position. If he can continue that, and what Aaron was saying, some kind of in back channels, it does seem like that's going to continue. Man, what a weapon!
I'm looking forward.
Yeah, you told when you said he was looking bigger, man. I was like, and then here's the deal: when he's playing center field, a first baseman went to center field. I know this is shocking to a lot of people, but first baseman's athletic, an underrated athletic position.
I mean, he looked like a string bean last year, and then he looks like an actual functioning college student, just with muscle. I think that's allowing him to play center field, because last year he looked like a baby giraffe. It's I don't know how this guy could play center field, but now he just looks like an athletic baseball player. So it makes
you guys need to help ESM out, and let's find the connections. Let's get that going, because that would be damn well worth it. And you know what else you need to do? You need to follow Money B's advice. Go hit that like button. Do us a favor, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. There's a lot of great football content coming up today. Coming up next is Anwar's Old Fashioned Sports Show. We've got House Divided with Jeff Ketchum and Chad Hastings. We've also got Football with Friends with Alex Dunlap coming up. Oh, and by the way, if you want to go to the baseball game, that's free. But there's another thing going on tonight as well. There's a meetup.
Yes.
Is that right, Aaron?
Yeah, I'm putting the graphic on the screen right now.
Pine House with Orange Bloods. That's going to be, and I went to that one. I was there for the preseason one. That was a lot of fun. It was really good to get to meet a lot of the guys out there. That was really cool. Won't be there tonight, but a lot of the Orange Bloods guys will be. Go out, come meet us all out at Pine House tonight at 6:30. In fact, you could do the Pine House and then head over to the baseball game and catch the fall ball. How cool is that? That's a nice little lineup. Pint House and baseball. I love it. I wish I were there. Wish I could be there. Sadly, I cannot. Anyway, like I said, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything. Hit that like button. And if you want to win the free Jonathan Brooks autographed jersey, go check out yesterday's show. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and be the first to correctly predict the score of the game in the comments section. You could win a free Jonathan Brooks jersey, compliments of Elite Sports Memorabilia. Guys, any final words?
No. I mean, I'm excited for this weekend. A lot of good stuff going on. Everyone, be safe out there and enjoy the
All
weekend.
right.
Big game.
My final words would be just Texas baseball. I'm telling y'all are gonna have to shut my mouth on this over the next few months. I'm pumped about it.
Don't even want to try it. Stoopsified, I agree with you. Have a great weekend, Horns. For Stoopsified, for Aaron, Orange Blood's Own, and for Nash, I am Travis Gailey. Have a fantastic Friday. Saturday, we'll be right back here on Monday, wrapping up the game.